Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got a horrible first rack, 6 vowels, very unbalanced, no scoring tiles. Quite tempting to change, however. There may be a play through the right floater which is better than changing. Oh wow, an opponent starts with a bingo. What a contrast in fortunes. So, do any of these floaters offer me anything worth considering? I have Ani, 7 points, providing good scoring opportunities. Let me not rush into changing. About half the time when I change, there is a better play. Anyway, good for Agio. No, I am changing. And I'll keep just an E. Okay, so a more balanced rack. Could there be a bingo here? F, G and H all together? Suggest not. I've got fire as a component part of a word. Let me consider the floaters in case inspiration strikes. Well, most of them have disappeared. N, E, M. Okay, what about these letter pairs? H, O, O, R, L, A. Well, that doesn't look far off a bingo. Not seeing one. T, I. No. Okay, so what to do? The F is the least bingo-y. I have FEH here for 30 points. That's pretty decent. Rack leave, not terrible. This isn't gifting anything for opponent. ME takes a G. Ho takes an A. I'm going with this. So through a T, I would have grittier. Through an A, irrigate. What about LA? And maybe I should have spent a little longer looking for a double-double non-bingo last turn. But LA plus this rack. Nope, not seeing anything. Now, opponents play 28 points. And I have ferrite, which I think is worth doing because sorts out all the duplicates, scores over 30 points. And with only 1 and 2 pointers, I don't think I'm going to get close to that elsewhere unless I've overlooked a double-double and I couldn't see one. So I'm going with this. Through an O, I would have outgoing. Wow, this E has been in the open so long, and there are so many occasions when you would have a bingo with a floating E, but none that I've seen in this game. But I do have the ing ending with gout. And I've got the out prefix. So could there be a bingo? Quite a few floaters to consider. No scoring tiles on my rack. Mustn't overlook the floating N. Now, an ing could end ting. Well, not anymore. A new pair to consider, et, close to tonguelet. So get out and ing. Nope, not seeing anything. So what to do here? Certainly want to play off the U and one of the G's. And opponents pretty much shut the door on the double-double. Well, what about just turning over a lot of tiles? There's not much worth keeping. I don't have an E. I can get 18 points. Util is good. Anything good beginning with U? No, I don't think so. How dangerous. Let me put this one square higher. So I've got memo for extra points. And let me switch the U and the G. So Rouging for 26. Oh, and another Grimrack. But opponent's still within reach. And I have scoring tiles, which are always good to see in the absence of a bingo. There are no super hot spots for the B or the W. I have blow and bowl. Interesting, just 8 points for opponent. Suggests they probably are keeping 5 decent tiles. Not always the case. Blet is good. I don't think it's going to be possible to deal with all the issues on this rack, the duplicates and the B and the W. That would require a playing BWOT. If this was AR, I would have toe bar, but it isn't. Now, Ger takes an L. So I have Blotto. Doesn't score very much, places an O over this triple word square, so I'm not a fan of that. But what about just doing blow? 22 points. If opponent can't play in row O, then I certainly can because I've got an O. That feels fairly weak. But this is 22 points and it's addressing a lot of issues with the rack. And if I play anywhere else, I'm providing scoring spots as well. So I'm going with this. And if opponent does have a bingo elsewhere, in particular, Moraine takes an S, so column 9 would be an obvious candidate for an S bingo, then I would have first dibs at row O. But what a dreadful pick. Q, no U, but I do have I and N for Chi and Chin, and through an A, I would have cat. There is a Q spot on the board above the I, but only for face value. But the rack leave after that isn't terrible. It's balanced. Great. So, opponent does bingo. They couldn't bingo in row O. Board wide open, which is good since I trail. I've got the Q, nowhere great for it. So what does this score? 30 points, that's half a bingo. I'm not going to be stuck with the Q because there's cat through cat and chi. There's chi on the eye of rouging. But is this the play? Should I be getting rid of the Q straight away? I don't think so. I'm taking out a hot spot. The rest of my rack isn't great. Still 3 U's to come. Yeah, I'm going with this. Ooh, 7 consonants. This might be the time to change. Although, through an I would have sank. Still might be the time to change. Drift. Yeah, not as good as changing, so this is pretty awful. What's opponent's 7 random tiles like? I'm still just about within a bingo's reach. Great, just 20 points. Are there any good spots I've overlooked? Don't think so. I am changing. And I'll keep R and T. Yep, no R's, only one T. Only one N, so I think I'll keep the N as well. Still lots of vowels to come. Okay, so these are all bingo-y tiles. I do have some duplicates. There is a G, an ing word. Not enough space above for that. Through an E, I would have reattain and attainer. I've got the anti-prefix. But is there a 7 here? What goes after YA? Nothing that I've got. R goes in front. So what about this rack plus an I? Not seeing anything. Now, opponent's played. Nice play. Car doesn't take anything in front. What about this G? Not for an ing word, but an anagram of these tiles plus it. No, not seeing anything. I don't have a 6-letter play onto the W. I could do with opening up the top of the board because there's a good bingo lane in row N. But opponent could easily start to fill in that area. What about this? 18 points, blowing the top wide open, covering this double letter square. Yeah, I think I need to do something bold. I've got row N for a bingo. I've got the floating G, the I of vaginas, loads of floaters. Opponent will struggle to take out everything which I've created here. 18 points. I'm not getting much more than that with 1-point tiles. I'm going with this. Okay, well, I draw a lot of junk. Do dodge the Q. So, what is available here? Not seeing anything ending in W. I've got jorked. Nowhere for, well, I can play that through the A of nitrator. That might be worth doing. Junked doesn't hit a triple word square. No bingo here for sure. Point takes an E and an S for future reference, and a Y. So I think nitrator is going to give opponent pause for thought, if only to choose their best 9-timer. So, 39 points. Well, that could have been a lot worse. 30 is a fairly average score. So I can play Beiju. I can't get rid of B, J, and K. I can play Jork for 30. This is a goodish 4-letter set, given the starting position. Only an O goes in front of K. But there are still 2 good floaters in I and T, and other lanes on the board. I'm going with this. So, I'm glad I played the U. I've drawn another one. And still 1 more to come. 47 for opponent. Is there a bingo here? I don't think so, and I trail by 150, so grim stuff. U goes in front of T, so if there was a bingo like unbayed, it would play, or unbeady. I don't think either is good. Nothing with a G. So what about these scoring tiles B, U, and Y? Where can I play them without blocking bingo lanes? Anything in column 15 onto the W? No, not that I can see. Let me count the remaining vowels. 13 out of 26, so plenty of vowels to come. Wow, tricky to find spots to play Y and U. Even if one were to take out bingo lanes. Well, I could play by here. How awful is this? It's only 21 points. It's a good rack leave. I am taking out the best 7-letter lane, but I think I need help to win this game. There's still the T of nitrator, there's the G of vaginas, there's a floating B from bi. Yeah, no ends to come. Loads of D's. Maybe Dorby would be better. And scoring more. 28 points, keeping EN. I think this is better. I am providing a good Q spot, but maybe I'll draw the Q. So Dorby for 28. I don't draw the Q. And I have a vowel-heavy rack. So this is looking grim. What can I do? Not very much. Very hard to sort this rack out. Opponent doesn't have a Q, but doesn't have a U, but I've provided one. A takes an A and an E, so that's still available, and it suggests they didn't have the Q, otherwise they could have played quad or quid. 11 tiles in the bag. XO is good, I don't have an O. No extensions for ZO. I'm looking for ways of wading through these vowels. I could do this. U takes an E in front, and an E would be available as a floater. And this is a way of creating bingo lanes without intruding on any others. Plus I'm retaining the U for a Q. I'm going with this. Okay, so slightly more bingo-y, but I don't feel confident that there is one here. Nothing with the T. No 7. Well, Q still not played. 7 tiles left. Ed only takes S and H, so this Q spot in row M hampered. I'll try and retain the U in case I draw the Q. Wow, this really is a dire state. Game certainly lost. So where can I get value from the P? Or I could play zoned for 16. Let me count the remaining vowels. 5 out of 12. Definitely worth keeping the U in case I draw the Q. Only one E to come. Duplicate E, not a problem anyway. Only one I to come, so I don't think I'm going to get into trouble with this. Yeah, zoned for 16. Oh, and I draw the FV combo. Remaining tiles, in some respects, quite bingo-y with a blank to come and an S and well, everything apart from the Q. is bingoing. But what am I going to do with this heap of junk? Not very much. I guess I've got 5 and you. Yeah. Yeah, opponent does have the cue, 33 points, bag's empty. So this is what I'm thinking of. 5. 27 points. I'm setting up a 7-letter lane ending in E. So opponent would have solaces. So alas, that's not the play. 5 here for 22. What does this set up? I don't think it sets up a bingo through the F. What about the I? Celosius. Doesn't fit. V's no good. Does opponent have a bingo with the I or the T? Close to isosceles, that's a 9. There must be one through the T, I would have thought. 5 minutes on my clock. But if I don't play in this spot, opponent... Well, does opponent have a bingo ending in E? I'm not... For row C, I'm not sure. Let me put this back and reconsider. So as it stands, does opponent have a bingo ending in E? Yes. Ossicle. Does opponent have a bingo beginning with T? So it could begin ST. Not seeing one, so I do need to block this area. Which this does. Is there anywhere for me to go out with Pafui? Five in this spot doesn't work. Okay, so I will play Vi here. Opponent has Ossicle and OK. So they are going to bingo out. If they spot it. What a grim game. No bingos at all. What would I have had through the T? Nothing, I don't think, or nothing obvious. I'm just wondering if there were ways of blocking the T, the K, and the E for bingos for opponents. They have 12 minutes to find Ossicle. Zoned felt weak. Now I'm just back from the BMSC, had an absolutely fantastic time. Finished 6th, was 3rd with 1 game to play. And I recorded an amazing game against Best Bot earlier this morning, which will be going out on Patreon on the 1st of September. So definitely something to look forward to if you are a Patreon. Just an incredible game. So I won't say anything more about that. So, and there we go, Oscules. And the final score, 259 for me, 503 for opponent, a winning margin of 244 points. So well done to opponent. Let's see what I missed. Very interesting game. You always, when you're hammered like that, you always wonder, to what extent it was your own poor play and to what extent the tile gods. Let's find out. So, great start for opponents. And this is my rack. G2, add G. Burning the E's, keeping 3 vowels. I think changing is reasonable with all these floaters on offer. Missed bingo. Menthols through the E. Tricky one to see. And now there was a double-double through LA. Filigree for 48 and also Filari. And then I play Fay for 30, keeping EGIR, but the double-double's certainly better. Opponent plays M. Ooh, no. Tigeria through the E. Ouch. Okay. That's a disappointing miss. I think maybe when you see GI, you're thinking ING, but Tigeria was there, so well done if you spotted that. I play Ferrite for 33, which is the best of the non-bingos. Opponent plays Let. And now I play one of the top two here, Rujing for 26. Opponent's rack, Gur. And this was a tricky one. I went with Blow for 22. Toe sorts out the duplicates, M2. Yeah, probably, well, possibly better. Difficult to say. B is non-bingo-y, but duplicate T likewise. Blow does provide access to row O, but I was trailing, so that volatility appealed. Now, great bingo by opponent. Wow. And only the solitary bingo on offer. I've drawn the Q, and I played point for 30, keeping it. I could have played Chin, F11. Oh, Chin running across the top of vaginas for 26. I think that would have been the better play because I would have retained the tiles for a PO word in row O. Wow. Oh, wow. Does opponent miss this? Yes, they play Yar. I10. They had Cyanize and Puant. Wow, for 106 points. Now, this is my rack, and changing definitely better than any of these options. Opponent plays Cow. Phew, no missed bingo there. So I play Nitrator to blow the board up. I was fearful that the top of the board was inaccessible. There are no bingo lanes in the top of the board. And if I play in the bottom of the board, it doesn't take long for there to be no bingos there as well. So I do need to open at the top. So plays like Art in row M don't achieve that, whereas Nitrator does. And now, another missed bingo. Although possibly not, opponent may have decided to take the points, retaining very bingo-y tiles. However, I think unseized for 101 points is a better option than Zine for 39. Now, this was a tricky rack. Thought about Jorked, rode it back to Jork to retain the bingo-y tile, E. Now, opponent's rack, no bingo. And they play Ox. You know, miss bingo. I played Dorby for 28. I didn't like it particularly. I am taking out bingo lanes, but there were lanes elsewhere, and I am providing floaters. Now, great rack for opponent. Choice of bingos. Missed bingo. Wow, look at all these playable ones, but none gone for. I have this horror show. So I play U for 7, which is a 10-point score sacrifice to create a new lane and leave the most bingo-y rack leave from a pretty inauspicious start. Wow, missed bingo, squashed M8 through the U and Aida. Difficult one to see. Opponent plays Ed. And C14, depose. Yeah, maybe worth doing. The game is lost at this point. Not sure about that. Anyway, I play Zone for just 5 fewer. Missed bingo. O'Quassers, again in row M, 111 points. And this was a tricky rack, but it was very much just an intellectual challenge at the end, because the game is definitely lost. I'm 160 behind. But how to stop opponent from bingoing. And Best Spot isn't really aiming to do that. Not Best Spot. ISC is not aiming to. This list here doesn't take into account trying to stop opponent from bingoing. I think this is a pure equity list, which takes into account score and rack leave, not what opponent's going to do. But let's have a look to see what Examiner 1 would do. And I think Examiner 1 is considering what opponent would do. And it's recommending C12, 5. But then opponent plays... Oh, interesting. Not ossicles, it would be ossicle. Well, that would still play. Okay. So, everything is hopeless at this point. I play Vi, and opponent has these bingos and finds the absolute best in oscules. So, what a game, what a drubbing, absolutely brutal stuff, but you need to just brush this off and move on. I hammered an opponent at the BMSE with a margin of over 300 points, so I was obviously playing extremely well and on fire. The very next game I lost by over 200, and it doesn't mean that Scrabble is entirely a game of luck, but these big losses or big wins are part of the run of games, and it's more what you do with the closer games, in which skill can determine a loss or a victory, which contributes to the overall outcome of a tournament. There's enough skill in Scrabble to mean that at the end of a 2 or 3 day tournament, or even a 1 day tournament, the person who wins is usually one of the better players. Anyway, it's nice for everyone to enjoy their day in the sun, so many congratulations to opponent on their victory. I hope you enjoyed watching that game. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.